Welcome to the F Word and Friends, where we discuss everything finance. And last week, a client of mine asked me, what's the best books, gents, that you have read in your lifetime that's related to finance, or what you learned the most from finance? So we thought, you know what, why don't we do like a book review?
A book club.
A book club, yeah, like an old school book club. Where's the wine today? But yeah, let's review some books. PJ and I've read this, I must say, 10 years ago. From Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Most of the people have heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And just quickly, it's basically regarding Robert Kiyosaki having two dads. He said his actual dad was a poor dad, and then he had a mentor who was his rich dad. Whether it's the truth, we don't know, but it doesn't really care. Yeah. Because it's about the two different mindsets. People have got a rich mindset, and that's why they're successful. And then people who've got like a more poor mindset that's maybe not so successful. PJ, you've read the book. What's your takeaway?
Yeah, I think if you talk about personal finance books, that's the one you have to read. Especially in high school. This book is 1997, so it's an old book, and we still talk about it. So, because, especially even if my son goes to high school, we'll give him the book to read, because it's very basic financial principles and that mindset change. What's the difference between a poor mindset, middle class mindset, and a rich mindset? That I took out of it.
Yeah, and it started with the poor mindsets. People, they look at the income, and they spend it all. So every month you earn, and then you got your expenses. You earn, and you got your expenses. So you're chasing income the whole time. And I remember for me, why I chose my first job was actually as a salesperson, because he said somewhere, don't take a job for what you can earn. Take it for what you can learn. And sales will always be relevant. We all need to sell, whether it's an idea, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. And for me, that was something that I actually read and applied in my own life. And it's worked well. Well, here we are today. So that's the poor mindset, PJ. They look at income, they look at the expenses. But how do you get out of that rat race? What's the next step that I mentioned into a middle class mindset?
Yeah, so the middle class mindset, so like I said, the poor one is quite easy, income, expenses. Then if you go middle class, you get the income, expenses, and then below the line, assets and liabilities. So like the rat race, so you earn more income. So what do? You buy a more expensive car, from a Hilux to a Prado and then a Cruiser. Then you go into the liabilities, because you don't have enough money to buy it cash. So you've got a big liability. Now you earn that income, but it goes to the liability. You have to pay that liabilities first, and then you don't have anything to put over into the asset column. While the rich mindset is different, is you don't keep that liabilities as low as possible, but then you don't take that money, instead of buying a car, you buy an asset, investments, real estate. He's quite fond of that as well. And then that asset produces more income. So while the liabilities go to expenses, the asset goes to income. So that's the rich mindset.
Yeah, they don't look at an income sheet, they look at a balance statement more. That's also a takeaway. Gents, I'm not sure if you have read this book, but it is interesting that, it's 27 years old now, but there's still, Robert Kiyosaki is still relevant. I know you don't have to agree with everything that he says. Yeah. And I think that's the nice thing about a book. You can take what you want out of it. You don't have to apply everything, but that's why reading is so powerful.
My biggest question is to have this rich mindset. People are struggling for money at this stage. If you look at inflation, if you look at income growth or salary growth, people are just struggling to make ends meet at the moment. And now all of a sudden, it's sort of like, okay, how do we get into that mindset? How do we open up cash flow so that we can have this rich mindset? You sort of understand what I'm saying. So how does a person go now from sort of a poverty type mindset or being in poverty all of a sudden to going into action and, acquiring assets?
And for me, it's not a quick thing, and he says it in the book. It's a long-term thinking as well.
So what is long-term?
Definitely, yeah. Not long-term, but very practical. Very practical. Yeah. People going out of college, you've got two job opportunities. Which one do 99% of people take? The one that pays more. Where maybe you take the other one, you can learn more, there's more growth opportunities, but you have to sacrifice in the short term. And I think that's also what he puts out. His rich dad, his poor dad will say, well, of course take the job that pays more. He doesn't think about it in a different way, and that's where the rich people think about it differently. When can your money work for you? If you're just going to keep on working for your money, you're never going to be rich.
A big thing he also says difference between rich dad and poor dad. Poor dad says get that college education for the biggest salary, exactly that. And the rich dads learn, build your own business. And like I said, it's an old book, but still, we still believe go get a university degree and all that. So again, it's not something I 100% agree with. So most people probably should go to university and get a high qualifying job, because I don't think everyone can have that rich mindset. People that don't read that normally don't have that, or that will to have that rich mindset, because it's sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and remember, it's looking for opportunity. So the mindset of looking for opportunities instead of looking for problems. So exactly like you said now, but how if it's tough financially, it's not about okay, what I've got so many problems, I've got this, I've got that, I've got debt, I've got this, but instead of thinking about that, thinking about how do we move forward. Is there a way to move forward? It's about the moving forward, the opportunity mindset, instead of sitting and waiting for things to happen.
100%. He says it starts at a young age. His first job was taking comic books, old comic books, and his rich dad said, go and create value, go and create money, sell that. And then he accumulated of comic books, and the children would come and visit, and they would pay a fee for just coming to view the comic books. Create value. And they said you shouldn't pay your kids for doing chores.
I also,
because they're not creating value, but tell them, I'll pay you if you create value. Either go to the neighbors, cut their lawn, or find ways to make money. But if you just do your chores, I'm going to pay you for that 100%. That's why you get a job and you get paid for. Where you have to, like you say, different mindset, opportunities, create value. Because that's what the rich do. They see, where's opportunities? What's the problems that we have in South Africa? We have a lot. What's the value? How can I solve those problems? Not a lot of people think about that, think in that way. And that's definitely a rich mindset.
yeah, because the school system is built, like a lot of people say, it's built for the industrial age. You have to work machinery, fall into that, and it feeds the rich. I think it's just easier to administrate because everyone can't run around and do things. So I think it's just easier to administer and market test and things like that because there's processes. But then you have to do it at home. And that's where most people don't have the rich dad. And I think a lot of people in our country don't have that rich dad or things, that's why they're stuck in that.
That's a very important point. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, the question that I have is, how long did it take him to accumulate his wealth or to become rich? According to him, how long does this process, process take for him?
They say if you want to be rich, write a get rich book. And that's the best way to.
That doesn't answer my question. But anyway.
But once again, what is rich? Yeah. You can have a lot of money and not be rich. And I think, like I said, he started at 11, his first business. Yeah. If you continue on that path of finding ways, and you will definitely one day get rich. I'm not sure if there's a specific timeline when he got rich or when he had a lot of money. But he talks about just like building up on top of each other, more the minds, and I think that's why it's still relevant. But you touched on an important point. Not everybody has a dad or a rich dad. Once again, you need to have mentors or surround yourself with the right people. If you are surrounded with people that's negative and finding problems around the braai, you are bound to be negative and looking for problems as well.
And I think it's always difficult in our field. Like I said, a lot of people struggle, but normally our clients don't struggle because it's the people that have the right mindset.
And they're not
money.
Pessimistic.
Yeah, they're not pessimistic. They take the finances serious. They do that. So normally we work with basically the cream of the crop. Not because we are great. It's just the people take their money seriously.
But they're already in that rich mindset. Why? They want to invest. They come to us. They want to invest. Guys, when we sit in front of someone, you have to now persuade him to invest. You don't want to be there. That's not the client one, because now you have to show him the value. Where most of our clients, like he says, already got that rich mindset. They know this works over the long term. They've already got that mindset. That's the clients you want to work with. And unfortunately, those are the people that's going to get richer.
Yeah. But it's definitely from, I think, early childhood. It's like weird. Why don't you spend the money that you can and put it in it doesn't really make sense, but you just know from a young age, I don't want to spend everything that I have. And it's weird. It's just we learn this in our industry as well, so that it's easier. So I think it's very difficult for someone outside of it to have the mindset because in your first point, you have to make that sacrifice. Like it ends meet, but they still want to buy the bigger car.
How do you know there is this two sort of polarizing mindsets if a book like this or people like us don't tell you about it? How would you know there's a difference?
I think 100%. A lot of people don't even know that in property mindset. Just the way they're speaking, they don't know that talking negatively about themselves or their future. They've got a property mindset, but they don't know.
Realize it.
And that's 100%. That self-awareness is very important. Another example is getting a personal coach or a business coach. Not a lot of people are willing to pay to better themselves. Or to buy books.
It's difficult to better yourself.
Yeah, but first you have to sacrifice money as well. You know, and I think not a lot of people are willing to do that because it costs money. So I'm not going to do it. But they don't have the long-term.
It's an investment.
Yeah,
Buying the book is also an investment in your own
and
mindset
to go and
yourself.
sit and read.
Absolutely.
It's a time investment. But these guys know that in the long run, that's where the real money is. So it's a different mindset. Peter, I enjoyed the book. Nice practical example, especially the first half. It gets a bit more technical in the second half. It's got some ideas, things that might not stand the test of time, but there's definitely certain principles. And that's what's great about a book. You can take what you want out of the book. You don't have to copy the whole book and apply that in your life.
Yeah.
No. And I think he makes it applicable to everyone with the parable. Let's say it's a parable about the rich dad, poor dad. Maybe it's not even true. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really matter. But now you read it, people like a story. So I think it touches a lot of people's lives and makes a difference.
Do you recommend it?
Yeah, definitely.
I think, definitely good place to start. If you're new into finance, it's definitely a good book to read.
Oh, well, we're going to have to go read that.
James,
We haven't even read it. So.
Have you not read it?
I have not read it before.
We're doing a book review of a book you haven't read.
Anyway, that's why we do this.
Yeah,
so we
well,
can learn.
so I'm just here for the questions.
Should we do a book preview for you?
Yeah. So what's your mindset?
Thanks for enlightening me on the subject. But
Gents?
thank you so much, James.
Yeah, thank you. We would like to hear what you thought of the book, if you've read it. Comments and questions, and we'll have a new book. You guys next up, you can have a new book for us that we're going to review. Thank you very much for that, James. Appreciate it.